Hey everybody, Steve and I are on the Foothills Trail. It's almost 78-mile trail, South Carolina and North Carolina. And I'm just gonna do a quick panoramic view here. You get to see Steve. We're on day 3, I think. And it's just really a fantastic trail. The foot tread is on contour. There's only a couple steep climbs that we've been on so far. The water is clear, beautiful, cool. We've taken some dips. This forest up here is beautiful. Everything's beautiful. How many times can I say beautiful? Look at these trees. We are investigating animal scat. And there's persimmons around here. We haven't found many, but we did see one on a cobble bar in the river, or a grouping of them, which is really interesting. But in the scat, of course, are persimmon seeds. I told you we're passing some fantastic trees up here, and I thought I should clarify. The Foothills Trail is in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. We are not at the ocean beach. We do have some river beaches, but not the ocean beach. We love seeing all the different plants and animals in these different life zones. And one thing that we always find is really interesting is that we recognize a lot of them, at least to family or genus, and that's from learning them where we've always been. And we learn them by using field guides, and that's been really helpful because when you pay attention to different plant parts or arrangements of body parts, and then it just sticks in your brain. And we need things to stick in there. What's that right there in the middle? That there is persimmon. Look, we found some. Every time we see signs of persimmon fruits, we're hearing birds too. This is such a cool native fruit. Steve went down the hillside with his pack to get us a couple because he's just that kind of guy. So when they're mushy and they smell good, that's when they're ripe. Don't get it wrong. But look for them. It is the season. Okay, we found the tree because we have binoculars. It's not the evergreen in front. Just look at the bark. It's not typical persimmon bark, which is usually super dark and blocky. But we have our binoculars and we were able to look up at the top and we can see a bunch of fruits hanging on. Now, one thing that we have noted about persimmons is they really need light to fruit, and that's not new news. Everybody says that. So we are always looking in the forest and we sometimes find the trees but not the fruits. This one is different because look, this is the path, which maybe was an old logging road. I don't really know. And this tree is about the same height, or it's actually taller than a lot of these surrounding ones, so they're getting good light to fruit. This has been, in our experience so far, the weak area for persimmons, the interior of forests, but it seems like if they can find that edge, they can still do it. Now, they probably wouldn't grow up from a seed real well, or it'd take them a really long time, but they're a scrappy tree. I mean, they grow in some tough conditions. So now we found them in here, and we're just really excited to keep learning about this tree because there's a lot of mystery surrounding it. This right here is a Saddleback Caterpillar. Look how gorgeous. Oh my gosh. We are out here by the Chattooga River on the Foothills Trail, and we're stopped at a beach spot. We're gonna cook lunch and dry out some clothes we used for swimming. And Steve saw this saddleback right in the middle of the beach. A river beach, mind you. And they did not want to be there, so I used some leaves to pick them up and bring them over here to the leaf area. If they start eating on this leaf, I'm gonna take them to a different spot. I'm not sure if they're just on walkabout for pre-pupation or if they're still eating and they just got moved accidentally. But from what I've read, these guys, their sting is pretty significant, so that's why I used leaves to pick them up. I think they are just magnificent. Look at those colors. As soon as I put them over here, they started moving around. They were so excited to be back in their habitat. Look at them. Wow. Neat, neat, neat. Look how they're going back and forth. You think they're gonna pupate soon? We'll find out. I'll keep an eye on them. Oh man, I am so excited. I think they're so excited too. Magnificent!
You want any more sunflower seeds?
No thanks. Okay, everybody. We are still here on the Chattooga River sandbar where we're eating lunch. And there's these beetles running all around. I think I've seen them in the book. There's some kind of tiger beetle, I think. I think they're a predatory beetle on other little insects. They're really cool. They're running around everywhere. And right over here. Oh, there you are. Hello. Right over here is some bird guano. And there's a blue one there, probably an eastern-tailed blue, but we're in South Carolina, so there could be some different species here. But they have tails and the orange spots at the base of the wings. It's a really happening zone. There's dusky wing butterflies out here. This is where we saw the saddleback, and look how beautiful it is. Look at that water. It's so clear. You can see how one side of the river is much, much shadier. Totally different plant community, or as Steve has started calling them, life zones, dictated by different types of soil, sun aspect, moisture. And so then there's all kinds of different plants, different birds, different mammals, different insects associated with those areas. It's really neat to pay attention. Look over there. You can see how high the water gets sometimes with that debris on top of those logs. Rivers are very dynamic systems, and we can't get enough of them. Cats and Jammer on some red oak group. This trail is loaded with water. Steve and I are only carrying 2 liters because we can fill up all over the place. Here's the beautiful clear water. And when we get closer to the water, we always end up in these thickets of rhododendron. There's probably mountain laurel in here too, and a lot of plants we don't know, but also a lot of our friends like spikenard. So it's really fun to make these connections. Eastern deciduous forest, there's a lot of overlap. Okay, everybody, we're about 27 miles from the finish. So out of about 78 again, we've been climbing up about 1,000 steps. This end of the trail definitely has a lot more topography and a lot more challenge. We just passed a really nice camp spot where we could have taken a dip, but it was only 5 o'clock. What are you gonna do at camp at 5 o'clock? Steven, what would we do?
I'd fall asleep and wake up at 6.
He'd fall asleep, and he says he'd wake up at 6, but he'd probably wake up more at like 2. So we're keeping going. Oh my gosh, the best swimming hole. It felt wonderful. This is a plant we learned on the Big South Fork National River and Recreation Area trip. Buffalo nut. Definitely a plant of the Appalachian Mountains. So deciduous forest here, just like our homeland, and we're on the Till Plain, but we don't have buffalo nut there. They don't grow there. These are the things that are fun to learn. We are 4.5 miles to the end. We crossed Sassafras Mountain yesterday evening, camped up high, and it's just been really beautiful. And as Steve just said, it's very nice to see mountains draped in trees. And they just keep going on and on and on. We give this hike an A+. The birds like it up here too. And that's it for our Foothills hike.